Every manager has clients, whether they're inside or outside of the company. The ability of a manager to forge and maintain positive relationships with those clients is central to their success or failure as a manager. In this episode, we'll discuss ways to build successful relationships with your clients. Hi, I'm Rick Kendall.
And I'm Fred Ball.
Welcome to Management Mastery. The purpose of these podcasts is to share what each of us has learned about good and bad management in our combined over 40 years of experience, both as managers and executive coaches. During that time, we've coached managers at every level in companies from Fortune 100s to brand new startups in all major businesses, including nonprofits, government, and education. So whether you're just starting in your first management position or are an experienced manager looking to strengthen your management skills, we know our podcast will be valuable to you.
It is the manager's job to forge strong, positive relationships with clients based on outstanding client service from every team member. That every team member is underlined. You must identify the tone, style, and commitment that fits each client's culture and establish a relationship built on trust with candor, sensitivity, and integrity. If your client trusts you and believes that you bring top-rated service to their business, then you will be in a position to develop a trust-based relationship. Keep in mind the following. You want to meet with your client as often as possible to continue the bonding process. If possible, allow for rapport building time prior to the business discussion to the degree the client has time. Try to take the time to ask about family, mutual friends, and common personal interests. Learn about their personal goals and aspirations, as well as business goals. This personal bonding time is huge. Then demonstrate through professional behavior the importance of building these client relationships.
Oh yeah, that's also important. A client will forgive a lot if you've got that kind of relationship, and there will be times, no matter how good you are, that you're going to want them to forgive a lot.
You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. And you need to understand enough about the client's business to conduct knowledgeable business conversations and to recognize problems and opportunities when you see them. I mean, in the ideal relationship, you're always a step or two ahead of where the client is so that you're anticipating their needs and how you can meet them. You'll never know as much as the client does, but you don't need to. Nevertheless, you want to try to discover what the client is trying to accomplish or the major problems that the client is trying to overcome, and learn how you and your team can be helpful. I mean, that's really keeping ahead of the curve in terms of what their needs are, and establish a direction with the client and agree on a course of action.
You want to check with the client in future visits to be sure the plan you're implementing is the most helpful to achieving the client's goals. Anticipate resource needs and have providers ready on a moment's notice, and go the extra mile to provide service to the client.
Yeah, you always want the client to feel they're getting more out of the relationship than they're putting into it. So as you process the client's opportunities and think about ways to help them, seek to come up with one or more solutions that'll help them. If you do, it'll put you in a privileged position. So you want to keep the following in mind. You want to develop an innovative solution to help your client solve a problem, test the product or the solution to remove the bugs, so you anticipate what might go wrong and try to avoid it, and assist the client with ideas as to how to introduce the new solution you've come up with to the problem.
If you're fortunate enough to be able to do that, then you also want to be available to help on a continuing basis. And you want to always be a resource on the most complex and demanding of the client business.
Right. You want to set those priorities so you're ready at the ready when there's a need for you.
Yeah, every time that you or I do a coaching assignment where most of the time it's because the person that we're coaching is involved in complex or demanding business. And when you can help them as a coach and then they can help their people and their clients, it goes a long way toward building the trust we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. And, you undoubtedly want to give each client the best service possible, but unfortunately, that isn't always a possibility. Because of budget and or staffing constraints, you may have to make choices about what the maximum service that you can provide for each client is, and set some priorities.
That's always a tough issue to deal with. In some instances, clients will be paying for a specified level of service, and some firms even go as far as labeling them platinum, gold, or silver. In such cases, you should always try to provide a bit more than is officially called for to the extent you can without shortchanging other clients or overextending your staff.
Right. And then, when such categories are not official, you still are going to need to categorize clients in your own head in terms of the level of service you can give them. And in these cases, you don't want the client to know of the ranking, as this could have a negative effect on their perception of the service they're getting. So you don't want to say, oh, well, you're in the second tier in terms of what we can do for you, even though that may be the case, just because of the way you have to allocate your resources. So you want to use the categories internally only to help you allocate those resources across clients effectively.
That's right. And as you were saying, what you need to do is you need to determine the level and the type of service that can be provided to each client, and delegate the responsibilities to your staff in order to provide the best service within each of the categories, and direct your staff to be consistent with your goals.
Yeah, that's so important that you because you're going to have clients that are going to want more, that are going to be demanding. And you always have to have your internal regulator that's balancing across all the different clients. And that will help you to kind of, sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you have to say we can't do that, just to avoid conflicts with your other clients.
That's right. And those are tough decisions and tough things that you need to handle. But as the manager, just as you said, sometimes you have to give bad news to a client.
Right. And the other thing I've experienced is you'll have favorite clients. You'll have clients that are really nice. You really like them. You've really bonded with them. But their business just isn't as important as a client you don't like, just because of the nature of the business. And then it's really hard to keep those priorities in mind.
That's true. And often the one that you find more difficult to deal with is very bright, and asks tough questions and so forth. And that's what makes it tougher for you to deal with them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. And, you need to be doing performance reviews with your clients on a regular basis. It can't be just like once a quarter or twice a year or annually. You've got to do it all the time. So you should be meeting with your clients as often as possible and ask how you're doing, where you're meeting their needs, and what more you can do for them. I mean, within the constraints that we've just talked about, as well as ask the hard questions. Where have we fallen down? What could we be doing more? And when that happens, when they say, well, we were kind of disappointed about X or Y, you want to be sure to ask for and accept suggestions about how you can improve, and never be defensive. Even if you feel the client's evaluation is incorrect, you got to remember that the customer is always right.
Then you have to make sure that as ideas come up and changes need to be made, you let the client know that you have made them. You, as Rick said, you ask for ways the client feels you could improve your service to them. At the same time, it's critical that you never overpromise to a client. Be very mindful of what is and is not possible to deliver. Remember, it's much better to underpromise and overdeliver than to do the opposite. If the client pushes for more than you feel you can safely commit to, say so. Say you will try, but can make no promises. Demand the best from all those who service the client. These are your people. And make changes in who services each client if necessary. This is one of the toughest things that the manager has to do. And we've dealt with this in our coaching as well. And that is, just as Rick said, the customer is always right. And if the customer comes back to you, whether they're right or whether they're wrong, and says, this person is not the right person to service us, then it's incumbent upon you to figure out what you need to do and to make a change. And so that's going to be tough to talk to, especially if it's a very good client that your people really want to service. And you have to tell one of your people, I'm sorry, I'm taking you off of that client. You're going to have to do that in a caring way. And yet it's absolutely essential that you do that because, as Rick said, the customer's always right.
So in this episode, we've talked about the importance of forging a positive, successful relationship with clients, and that it requires frequent, open communication and a realistic understanding of what is and is not possible for your team to provide. As much as you can, you need to build a relationship with each client through regular meetings and feedback sessions. Be realistic about what you can and cannot do for the client, and strive to underpromise and overdeliver. We hope you have found this podcast useful and will come back again for more Management Mastery. If you have any comments about this or any of our episodes, or would like to find out more about our other services, including one-on-one coaching and group seminars for managers, visit our website at careercoachclass.com. Thanks for listening.